Hey, Captain Logos here, preacher at large, teaching the word and inspiring 5 minutes at a time. Hey guys, going to Africa here at the end of the month for the month of September. I need your prayers that God will sustain my voice because I'll be preaching almost every day, sometimes multiple times a day, and that God will move mightily, that lives would be touched, people would be healed, people would be called, that God would just move. He's going to do a great work. So I need your prayers, and if you'll just keep praying for that. Now, in preparation, got lots of stuff flying through my head, but one of the things is the seed, the plant, and the implant. I want to impart to you a little bit today. The seed coming from the parables in Matthew and Luke, that the seed is the word of God. Now, there's several different parables, and they mean different things, so you have to make sure you're in the right parable. With the parable of the sower and the seed is the word of God, right? It's being thrown out there. And so two things need to happen with the seed. You have to take the seed and plant it in your life and in your heart and let it grow. It's just the word of God, right? You got to accept Christ. You got to get in the word. You got to get your face in the Bible, right? And you got to let that word get into your heart, let it get into your soil. And then so it can germinate, it can take root, and it can begin to grow. The other thing you need to do with that seed is you need to throw it, right? Too many times we got this whole bag of seed that God has given us, and He's saying spread the word, and we're just sitting here with this whole bag of seed, and a lot of times the seeds are rotten in the bag. Throw it, throw it, throw it. Get rid of the seed, throw it. You're not responsible for what happens. Tell people about Jesus. So two things, right? Internally and externally. You got to put that seed in your heart. You got to let it grow in your heart, and you got to throw it so that other people can get the seed. Then the plant, right? The seed begins to take growth. It gets some roots, begins to sprout up. And all of a sudden we have a plant, right? But two things we got to do with it also. Internally, right? We got to cultivate the soil in our heart. We got to make sure that we put the word of God in there. We got to make sure that soil is right and that we do the right things and that we nurture the word of God and we read the word of God. And then we also help others externally do the same thing, right? So they can too, right? We help them cultivate. Now, the first two are unlike the third one because the first two have an internal and external component. The third one only has an internal component. But the first two can also be ripped out. The seed can be destroyed and it doesn't come up, right? We see that in the parable. The plant can also be destroyed. Right? Jesus cursed the plant, right? And it never bore fruit again. It died. It withered away. So the seed and the plant can both be destroyed and be taken away from you. But the implant, when you have the implanted word of God in your life, nobody can take it. It can't be destroyed. It can't be burned out. It can't be pulled out. It can't, right? So here's how that happens. You get saved. You read the word of God. The word of God says that by Jesus' stripes you were healed. You go, you know what? I think I just might believe that. And so I began to pray, God, heal this person, heal me, heal whatever. And so that healing takes place and Jesus heals. And all of a sudden that word gets implanted in your heart because you read the word, you acted on faith that God put in you, that little seed of mustard faith, right? And then all of a sudden God heals. And then from that point on, that word's implanted in you. You know that God heals. There's no way nobody's going to tell you that God doesn't exist, that God doesn't heal. Because you felt it, you experienced it, it's implanted in you, and it's not coming out. That word is not coming out. You are set and secure in that word. People can't change that in you. You know that God is real. You know that God heals because you experienced it. And so you got to make sure you're throwing the seed. You got to make sure you're cultivating the seed. You got to make sure you're doing it for you. And you got to make sure you're doing it for others. And you got to make sure that word is implanted in you as you get your face in the Bible.